why you get it, and what you can do about it. Hi, I'm Pete. This is Retrain Pain. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to teach you a little bit today about how our stomach works and what that's got to do with voltage and acid, okay, pH. So our stomach, we know, has got a strong acid in there. pH of a stomach acid is roughly 2.5 to 3.5 on the pH scale. That's pretty acid. That's going to burn through a lot of stuff. Okay, our stomach's made of special tissue. That means that it doesn't burn through the tissue itself, and it's got special linings and stuff again, which keeps it all safe. The thing is, our esophagus, okay, the bit that travels from my mouth down to my stomach, is not made of the same stuff. It doesn't have the same protection. It's very, very thin, and it's protected by a layer of basically mucus, okay, slime. So it can be damaged very easily when stomach acid comes out of the stomach and travels up into the esophagus. Likewise, past the stomach, we're moving on into the small intestine. Again, it doesn't have the same protection level that the stomach has for acid. Okay? And our body does a few things to deal with that. Let's start off with reflux, okay, and the stomach itself. So the stomach has a ring of muscle at the top of the near the top of the stomach. Okay, there's a ring of muscle in there. Okay, and our body is looking for acid. And if acid levels are not high enough, okay, closer to 1, kind of that 2.5 level on the pH scale, that voltage, okay, because pH and voltage are on the same scale, it's looking for that voltage of 2.5 pH. And when the voltage is that level, that muscle remains closed. Now, when we eat, that muscle will open because we're giving our body a signal of food's coming in, open up. And if that muscle doesn't open up, we're going to get a load of stuff stuck in our esophagus, and at some point we'll choke. Okay, that's not ideal. So that when we eat, that muscle opens and food is allowed to travel into the stomach. When we stop eating, that muscle should close and let the processes that go on in the stomach happen. Likewise, at the other end of the stomach, we have another ring of muscle. Again, that's looking for acid. It's understanding that the acid level is low enough because we've eaten food to let out it's called chyme, okay? So the semi-digested food that's been in our stomach, that's been kind of partially digested by the digestive enzymes and the acid in the stomach, then gets let out into the small intestine. It's then sprayed with a chemical that is alkaline, which is going to neutralize the acid, so that then it's safe to go through into the small intestine and not cause any damage from the acid that might be in there. Now, I'm not talking about the foods that were in there because that's a bit of a different story. The foods that you eat still might damage the small intestine, but story for another day. Stomach acid needs to be high. It's got 2 jobs. Job number 1, kill bacteria. Hey, the food that we have might have bacteria in it that we don't want to get through into our small intestine, digest, and then that's going to be let out into our immune system. It's going to be let out into our lymphatic system, and we've got a threat to deal with. Okay, it's going to cause stress to our body. So we need stomach acid to be high to kill bacteria. Number 1 job. Number 2 job is to digest protein. Okay, protein comes in really long chains, okay, and our body needs to break it down into tiny little bits, okay, chunks called amino acids. We need those to repair our body to be healthy. Okay, so we need stomach acid to be high to make that an efficient process. Otherwise, we're asking my small intestine, which again is very, very delicate. It's 1 cell thick, covered in mucus. Okay, if that gets damaged because there are long chains of proteins in there that my small intestine doesn't really want to deal with, okay, and the bacteria in there are not primed to deal with it, then that can cause problems. It might cause an overgrowth of bacteria in my small intestine, whose job it is to digest those proteins and break them down. But by achieving that overgrowth of bacteria, that might cause a problem somewhere else. Those proteins also might escape the small intestine if it's damaged, okay, and it can damage over time very easily, and escape into my bloodstream, where my body doesn't recognize that thing as an amino acid because it hasn't been fully broken down. Hence gluten. Okay, gluten is a protein that perhaps hasn't been fully broken down. It escapes through the walls of the small intestine, gets into the bloodstream, and then my body will have to attack it because it doesn't recognize it because it hasn't been broken down as fully as it should. I need high acid for that ring of muscle at the top of my stomach to remain closed. I need high acid for that ring of muscle at the bottom of my stomach to remain closed. When I eat food, and no matter how acid that food is, it is never as acid as my stomach. When I eat food, the acid level in my stomach is going to drop. Certain foods will make it drop faster. Okay. We need to eat protein to encourage the body to produce higher levels of acid to keep this muscle closed. If we're eating too many carbohydrates, then my stomach acid it's like I've trained my body to not produce enough stomach acid because I haven't eaten enough protein. So it's like, what's the point? It's like my body is not going to keep muscle if I don't go to the gym and exercise. Okay? If I never do any exercise, my body's going to say, I don't need that anymore. What's the point in producing it? It's just wasting energy. So if I don't eat protein, my body's going to say, why bother producing really, really strong acid? I don't need to, because I don't need that to digest the protein that I'm not eating. Okay, if I'm not eating protein, my body doesn't need to produce the stomach acid. If I don't produce the stomach acid, that ring of muscle opens and it lets acid back out into my esophagus where it can cause problems. The key here, if you have stomach acid problems, reflux problems, GERD, okay, that's what it's called. There's another way, and there's just another term for reflux, okay, problems with the esophagus, okay, potentially even problems with the small intestine and large intestine, is to eat some more protein. You can take that in any form you like. I'm not bothered. If you want vegan protein, go crazy. If you want to eat carnivore diet, go crazy, okay? Whatever you feel like works for you. Take it easy because it's not going to change overnight. You're going to need to train your body back to producing enough stomach acid. If you have too much protein all at once, that can cause other problems, okay? So just try and have normal meals with a good balance of protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Remember, your body is looking for voltages. It's not looking for chemicals. It's not looking for bacteria. It's not looking for viruses. It is looking for a voltage and an electrical signal to do something. Food has its own electrical signatures. A chicken will have a different food energy signature to a slice of some beef, okay, to cow essentially. Okay. Carrot will have a different energy signature to peppers. Mushrooms will have a different energy signature to oranges. Our body is looking for energy signatures. It's not looking for mineral. It's not looking for vitamin. It's not saying I need vitamin A. It's not saying I need zinc. It's not saying I need magnesium. It's not even saying I need fat or protein or carbohydrates. It's saying I need this frequency of thing. It's our job to understand that that's what it's looking for. This is what makes dieting for one person easy and dieting for another person not easy. Because one person is more attuned to those voltages than the other. Our brain creates voltage. Every thought I have is an energy signature. It's a pattern.